Spheres, our last shape. A lot of parts of spheres we technically already know since spheres are 3D circles. For example, that line that's going through top to bottom of the sphere, just like if it were just a 2D circle, it's still a diameter. If you have a diameter, then you know you have a radius. If you have a diameter and radius, they use the center, so you have to have a center. The new part, though, is this dotted circle that's going through the sphere. That's called the Great Circle. And what it does is if you were to cut right there at that Great Circle, you would break your sphere into two hemispheres, which are constant shapes, and you'll see why later on next week. So for starters, we're going to find the volume of these shapes. We're going to do surface area as well, so please pay attention to the formulas right there. They are both very similar, and it's easy to confuse them. So please pay attention if you're doing volume or surface area. The biggest way to remember is volume has a fraction. When doing anything sphere or circle-like, the first thing you want to do always is find your radius. So for 1 and 7, when I identify the radius, number one, the radius is 7. Number 2, the radius is, 16.5. Okay. When you know a radius, you can then plug into these formulas. First thing we need to do for volume of a sphere is take that radius and cube it. If you're not sure how to do that in the calculator, you just hit 7, the button that kind of looks like a mountaintop, and type in the number 3. If you do it correctly, you should get the number 343. After you cube it, stick a pi with it, because all things circles always have a pi. And then you have your fraction 4/3. What we need to remember at 4/3 is, any fraction really, the top always means multiply. The bottom always means to divide. So in this case, it's multiply by 4, divide by 3. So if you do 4 times 343 pi in the calculator, you should get 4,310.27. Your last step will be divide by 3, and you would then get 1436.76. And that's all there is to it. Let's try it again. First thing you do is you take your radius and you cube it. You type it in correctly, you should get 4,492.125. And then just the same thing we did, excuse me, in the last question, you are going to stick a pi behind it, and we're going to times by 4. When you do that, you should get 56,449.71. Then we are going to divide by 3. And when you divide by 3, you should get 18,816.57 centimeters cubed. So that's 2 volume questions. I'm going to also do 2 surface area questions. Again, first thing you always want to do, just identify your radius. In 3, looks like the radius is 2.8. In 4, the radius is 12. Okay. Surface area is much easier. It's the area of a circle times 4. Area of a circle, always start by squaring your radius. In this case, for 2.8, you get 7.84. Then you stick a pi behind it, or in front of it, really, doesn't matter. You're going to plug it into the calculator, hit enter, and get 8.796. And for surface area of a sphere, the last thing you're going to do is just times that answer by 4. When you times that by 4, so 8.796 796 times 4. You should get 35.18 meters squared. One more time. First thing we're going to do is the area of the circle. So that means we have to square the radius. 12 squared is 144. And stick a pi with it. When you plug that into the calculator, you should get 452.39. Last step, times by 4. And you should get 1,809.56 millimeters squared. So again, please be careful with these two formulas. The process is very similar. We're timesing by 4 in both of them. One of them, volume, you have to cube and divide by 3. Surface area, you follow the traditional squaring and no dividing. So again, I know they look very similar, so please pay attention to those. Number 5 is a hemisphere. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw a line in the middle of it because we're going to do both volume and surface area on here. I want you to try both. Again, to do either, first things first, make sure you know that your radius in this case is 5. Most importantly. The formulas are very similar to a sphere. So in volume of a sphere, you would cube the radius. You're doing that again. 5 cubed should come out to 125. Then stick a pi with it. 125 times pi should get you 392.699. Again, we have a fraction. Remember, top number means multiply, bottom means divide. So in this case, it is times by 2, which is 785.398. Last step, divide by 3, which is 261.8 or 799, but at this point we're going to 0.8 kilometers cubed. Now we're doing the surface area, again, very similar, right? First thing, you're going to square your radius, which is 25, and stick a pi with it like we've been doing. This time we'll get 78.54. And there's only one extra step on this one, and it's times by 3. So you'd get 235.62. Oh, and kilometers squared. And that's all there is to it to spheres. So make sure you get these notes down and in your notebook, and let me know if you guys have any questions.